I believe we are live. Hi, guys. We're streaming live. The first episode of the Natural Business Show. I hope you're doing well wherever you're catching this stream. It's going live on LinkedIn and Facebook. Next week, YouTube. Anyway, I hope you guys are well. Today, I bring to you the first episode, as I just said, of Natural Business. If you know me or don't know me, my name is Vineet, and I'm the founder of the Natural Business Group, right? And I want to bring to you a very interesting topic. Let me ask you a question. What is the oldest technology available to humanity? What is the oldest technology that has always been around since the beginning of time? What is it? This is the technology that allows humanity to advance. It's the technology that has got us to where we are right now. What is that technology? Before I give you the answer, let me tell you something. This technology is not used often by humanity. Maybe it's used on default or on an unconscious level, but particularly within the business world, that's where I operate, right? Within the business world, if more businesses were to use this technology, it would be their superpower. It would be the technology that allows them to ride any wave, any storm. It would allow them to perform handsomely or beautifully within their field. But we see in today's age, it's not happening. This technology, without further ado, is the oldest and most powerful technology available to mankind, or womankind, or kind. This technology is called creative intelligence. Creative intelligence is our birthright. We are creative beings from the moment we're born. In fact, we harbor this creativity, and actually this creativity is responsible for how we develop and what we become. Nature embodies creativity, or this creative intelligence. It's our superpower, as I said. Now, if we look at an acorn has the creative intelligence within it. It contains a creative seed for it to become an oak tree. You and I are also part of this nature. You and I are also creative beings. But then how come we don't deploy this creative power, this creative spirit that we have? And in a moment, I'm going to go into detail about this creative intelligence that we have, and particularly how it can be used, deployed within the business world. But for now, let me tell you why it's not being used. It's because we've been told a lie. You see, we've been told on some level that the authority that can help us to create our businesses and our lives are outside of us. Now, look, we're always looking for knowledge and information outside of us. Now, that isn't to say that it's a bad thing, but largely, most people are seeking answers and solutions from the external world, and often it's dysfunctional. In the business world, when you have a problem or you have an issue, what do? You probably pick up a book at least, right? Or you probably look for a mentor to guide you. Or maybe in the real high-end business world, you hire consultancies, right? Or some kind of advisory, right? That costs a lot of money. So in some shape or form, we are conditioned to believe that the answers, the solutions for us to create our businesses or our lives lies outside of us. There is an expert outside of us. And the truth is that most of the time that's bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Why? is because the ultimate knowledge is already within us. That knowledge comes in the seed of creativity that we harbor. We already have a creative power within us. And this creative power is able to support us to create our lives the way we want. But you see, it comes down to the fact that we all believe that creation happens. On some level, we all behave in powerless ways. We behave in ways where we believe that creation happens from the outside in, that we are at the mercy of the stage that's playing out in the world. We believe that we are just mere actors, right? That there is a stage outside of us, and that is where the power lies. So we've been told, we believe. You may think, no, but I create my world from the inside out. If you did, then you wouldn't be obsessively looking outside of yourself for this creative power. You think others have it. So we're all conditioned, and I've also been there. Throughout the years that I've been running businesses, I also have looked for answers and solutions outside of me, right? And I've believed on some level that the power is outside of me. But that's not true. We are creative beings. You see, our minds give us the illusion that the world happens from the outside in, because we have a set of senses and eyes that look externally. And we believe that just because we're observing this world happening outside of us, we believe we're separate from that world. And therefore, by default, if we're separate from it, then it has its reins over us. It has control or influence over us because it is separate from us. But that's not true. That's the trick of the mind. Because everything that we experience in our lives, in our businesses, is created from the inside out. It's an inner experience that takes place first. Our minds are a projection unit. Our minds project externally. We know this through science now, that our minds project externally. Yes, there is an objective reality that's taking place. There is a stage, shall we say, but the experience that we are having, right? The experience that we are having is our own subjective experience. And that subjective experience is as a result of what we have in here, of what we perceive is our experience of the world or our creation of it. And a large part of that creation comes down to our creative perception. It starts with our thoughts and feelings and then our behaviors. So actually, we are, in our essence, we are creators. We create our lives. We create reality. We are not victims to any circumstance. Particularly, we are not. Now, many businesses that I consult with, many of them feel as though they are at the mercy of what's happening in the world, the coronavirus, the pandemic. But I'm here to tell you, yes, there may be a narrative taking place in the world, that is this pandemic, but it's happening on the objective stage. Whether you choose to adopt that as your narrative is going to determine what you end up creating as your personal experience. I hope you are with me and you're understanding the enormity of the lie that we've been taught. We know through science that we create our worlds from the inside out. We know through quantum physics, there's this whole teaching around the observer effect. We know that the way that we observe the world brings our world into fruition. Our reality is as a result of our observation, right? Our personal experience is as a result of our observation. And to observe, what does that mean? It means our attention, our awareness. Where we put our attention is what instigates the reality that we create, because our attention is sacred. And the issue is, most of us have at best an adolescent attention. We're not able to keep our attention on what we would love to create, because we have an unconscious that's playing out. And this unconscious is a set of programs, default ways of perceiving the world that creates our world. And therefore, the unconscious hijacks it. The unconscious that we have programmed hijacks the lives, the businesses that we create. So therefore, if you are experiencing, in one of the articles that I wrote on LinkedIn recently, business failure by unconscious design. And what I mean by that is that we are, if for instance, let's take this example. If we're finding that there is a failure in our business, okay? Let's take it in the context of business. That's the world I operate in. If there's a failure that you're experiencing, or you have been personally affected by the pandemic, your business has been affected, or maybe there's an oscillation or a stagnation occurring within your business, either you have that narrative playing out for you on an unconscious level, okay? Hence why your perception is therefore leading to that reality, or you have adopted this narrative from the objective world and taken it on board as yours. There is no such thing as random creation. There is no such thing as arbitrary creation. There is no such thing as accidental. You might not like what I have to say, but you are 100% responsible for your reality, your creation, because by default, you are a creative being. So it brings us back to the oldest and most powerful sacred technology available to humanity that can be applied in the business context or any other context. And as long as we allow our unconscious or the world to hijack the way that we create our worlds, it means we have we have a lack of conscious, shall we say, hold over our creative power, our creative intelligence. And let's go into a little bit more of, what does it mean? What does creative intelligence mean? What does it mean to be in your power, in your creative power as a businessman or woman or owner or leader? What does it actually mean? It means to realize that you have it in you. You've always had it in you. And that is the truth. What does it mean to have it in you? It means to realize that you create from the inside out, as I said to you earlier, right? The responsibility lies within you. Your experience of the world is from the inside out. Therefore, no one is to blame for your experiences except for yourself. So let's now break down a little bit more about creative intelligence. As I said, it's from the inside out. When we at Natural Business, when we work with businesses, the unknown problem that's existing is, even the most successful business owners or very successful business owners, the unknown problem that exists is powerlessness. They are looking, even you'll be surprised at business owners who are very successful, on some level feel powerless. And one of the ways that you can tell that we all experience powerlessness is because we frantically search outside of ourselves. And particularly when it's dysfunctional, it doesn't work. So on the unknown problem is powerlessness. The actual private problem, which I call it private problem, is that we are constantly believing that the authority is outside of us. Okay, so we think it's going to happen from the outside in. And the way it plays out is, as I said to you a second ago, is we're looking for the authority outside of ourselves, right? It's some kind of external, we're ultimately looking for validation and looking for approval because they have the answers. Right now, we live in an expert society, right? Everyone's selling their expertise, and that's okay. But when it comes at the expense of realizing the principle, the real truth of how creation takes place, you will realize that you're coming from a powerless place. So at Natural Business, what we do, we help you to step into your creative intelligence. And that means that we get you to realize that actually you create from the inside out. And it begins, number one, it begins by taking charge of where you're putting your attention. And there's a whole unconscious dynamic that plays out, as I said earlier, in where you put your attention. Now, where you put your focus in business, there's something that we call true vision or false vision or positive vision or negative vision. Most businesses that are being affected in the world right now, or that are negatively being affected, have a negative vision. Their vision is negative. It's unconsciously negative usually. Now, when there's a negative vision playing out, it means that they are focused on something else apart from what they would love to create when it comes to their business. So they're ending up creating something that they didn't really want consciously, but unconsciously it's serving another need. I spoke about it in an article recently. And in the article, I was speaking about how in psychology, they say there's a payoff. So the unconscious part of you, your identity has its own needs, right? Usually based in survival of some nature. Therefore, if you're creating something that you don't want, it means that there's another agenda playing out unconsciously. So creativity comes into its own with the first step. Where are you paying attention? Okay, where is your focus as a business? Consciously and unconsciously. Step number 2 is actually to neutralize the part of yourself that is hijacking your creativity. So as I said, there is an identity that we have, a self-image, an ego, shall we say. And that identity is what has hijacked the show. It's when we experience resistance. When we have resistance in our business towards something, it means that another part of you has taken over. And that is the identity, your self-image. We have to neutralize that in order to allow your creative prowess to come through. In order for your creativity to come through, we have to let it come through and get you, as in your identity, out the way. So we neutralize that. The third step is actually, now when we've removed you out the way, you can now allow for this creativity to come through. It's information beyond your everyday way of perceiving the world. Artists, traditionally creative people are attuned to allowing information to come through. They use their metaphorical canvas, or actually their canvas, as artists do. They use canvases, right? So they allow this information to come through. That is what is creativity. And they trust their instinct, their gut. In the world of business, some of the most infamous entrepreneurs have been known to say that the secret of their success is their intuition or their gut instinct. They don't filter out their creativity that's coming through. They trust the information that's coming through. So in this case, when you allow as a business, when you're tapped into your creativity, you will no longer require cookie cutter blueprints, strategies. You will not require these, this so-called this is the how-to, because you'll be tapped into into your creativity. Wouldn't it be absolutely, you could say, wouldn't it be rather cruel that nature gives you an idea to create, but it doesn't give you how to create it? But the how-to is contained in the seed. That's your creative intelligence. And that's what we have to tap into. And those 3 steps are a broad overview. There's much more to it. That's a broad overview to get you to realize that you can learn to create as a business, as a company, as an organization. You can learn to become creators as opposed to reactors in the world. You do not have to fall foul of this narrative that's playing out in the world. You do not have to. But in order to take charge, you will have to learn the art and the science of creative intelligence. It's your birthright. You are a creator from the inside out, not at the mercy of outside in. So if you are a business owner, you have an organization or a company, and you find yourself, maybe you are continuously looking for answers and solutions outside of yourself. You're spending money on advisory, on consultancy. Then I would like to invite you back home to your power in the shape of your creative intelligence. And that is what we do at Natural Business. We put you back in touch with this creative intelligence, this creativity that is your birthright. It's the oldest technology that we have as humanity. And I would like to invite you, if you're watching this and you're interested, I would like to invite you to get in touch with me on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Get in touch, or drop me an email at care@naturalbusiness.org, or you can go to the website. And I would love to be able to serve you, genuinely serve you and your organization, to learn to discover the power of your creativity. Your creativity is unbounded. Your creative power, your creative essence is unbounded. It goes beyond the canvas. You are by default a creative being. So therefore, I call upon you to get in touch. Let's have a conversation. Let's show you the power of this creative intelligence that you harbor, so that you can be immune, or you can transcend the uncertainty in the world and take conscious control over what business and the type of business that you create. Let's do this. I look forward to hearing from you. Message me. Thank you for attending the first show of Natural Business. I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.